most of the models that we know today are text to text, text to image, and to certain extent, the vision capabilities where you say images and then it kind of generates some text. But Reka, a product which is powered by something called Yasa-1 model, enables you to, input images like these, the one that you see on the screen right now, and generate SEO optimized descriptions for these images. So you can see one of the samples here is help me write a property listing from this picture. You just feed in a picture and it's going to generate like an entire product description or property description page for you. So over this video, we'll explore what the model is, what Reka is overall, and then what kind of capabilities it offers. We will also be testing each of the samples we saw here, and we'll use some of the own samples like these ones, and we'll test it across Yasa model on Reka, Gemini Advanced, and then GPT-4 on Perplexity. So because Perplexity kind of allows us to run each or any of the models we want. One of the good things also that I've heard about Reka is that it can not only generate code but also run it in the same context, which is what none of the other models like Bard, Claude, none of these guys offer. So I'm really excited to try the product out, but let's first get to know a little bit more about the product itself. So Reka AI is basically the name of the company that built the chatbot, and they've recently raised like $58 million. Their flagship product, while it's called Reka Playground, which is effectively what the name of the company is, the real model is Yasa-1, which is a multi-modal model effectively helping you generate images, text, and videos. And the people who are building these are people from Google's own AI DeepMind. So you can see you can use Yasa-1 model as general text-based AI assistant, but you can also do it for images, audios, and short video clips as input. As far as I know, ChatGPT supports images, audios and short clips are not supported. And all of this is powered by a single unified model, Yasa-1, which is huge because the only multimodal models we know right now are ones that are powered by OpenAI, which is GPT, and the second one is from the Gemini itself. But none of these two support images and videos right now. So the fact that Yasa can support it right away, it's huge, and we're going to be trying some of these as well. So you can see explain a geometry diagram. So effectively the user is uploading this picture and it's kind of explaining what the diagram is about, which is huge when it comes to machine learning models because they don't know how to reason, and the fact that this model can do that is great. You can see you can feed in images like these and generate ads like these, which is very common, and then you can effectively feed in videos and then it kind of generates what is in the video itself. Now note that this is not groundbreaking per se, primarily because videos can be transcribed and then fed to the model and then the output can be generated, but the fact that all of that happens in one model is a great thing. And this is where it gets interesting, right? So in some of these videos there is a man who's walking and not even talking, so the possibility of having transcription is also something that's not present, and the model can actually predict what is happening in the video, right? So if we play this video, you can see it's like a B-roll where a man is walking with this, and then it kind of figured out what it is. Looking at the image, video itself, I'm assuming how it's doing this, it's kind of dividing the images or the videos in different frames and then doing some smart vision on each of these frames, and then extracting some metadata with respect to what is it in the each frame itself, and then based on what it knows, it kind of uses some sort of model or its own capability to predict what will happen next. So very interesting. And then it kind of also works in audio. So what is the weather like outside if I hear sound like this in my room? So let's quickly hear this. Not sure if you heard this, but this was some sort of thunder, and then the weather is likely to be cloudy and rainy. And then here's another example. So classical music. What kind of instrument is used to play music, right? So this was I'm assuming this was piano, and yes, this was piano. This is a classical music, which is very, very interesting because none of the models that we know right now allow you to do this. Plus search and retrieval. I think one of the reasons why I stopped using GPT is that because the new content wasn't being fetched in real time, and second, it kind of got boring and repetitive when it came to answers. And I started using Perplexity, and I love using Perplexity, to be honest. But this also kind of offers you the same capability of using search engine. But now the difference between this and Perplexity AI is that Perplexity kind of leverages what GPT has, what different open source or paid models have, and it kind of brings all of them together. And I'm assuming at some point Yasa-1 will also be one of the options on Perplexity, and we will be able to kind of do all of these things here, the cool things that you just saw above here, on Perplexity as well. And then there is the capability for RAG. I'm interested to know how long the context length is, and you can see it's kind of 24K tokens, which is huge, and that's by default, right? So which is good. So it's very long documents. It basically means that it can fetch at least 20,000 words, right? Because I think one token is for around 1000 tokens is equal to 800 words or something. Then there are other details here that you can quickly take a look at if you're interested. And then there's the code interpreter. It can actively execute code similar to what GPT code interpreter used to do before it got boring. And you can see calculate the area of circle with a radius of 12. Then it kind of used the Python libraries here to kind of generate and execute the code in the real time. And then you can see the user has uploaded a CSV file here. You can see the graph is plot is generated. So, but to be honest, this model has a lot of potential, but unfortunately not a lot of people are talking about this model. And I don't know why, because I personally, when going through the documentation itself, the announcement itself, it sounds very good. And the fact that people have invested money in this already, I think there's potential for this model. I think they've also had some sort of early wins when it comes to customers and obviously investors, primarily because they've been focusing a lot on proprietary data, security, privacy, and applications and business use cases more. So really interesting work by the team there. Now that we know what the model does, I'm going to show you how to use it. So go to the home page and click on try our model. We'll pick some of the use cases we saw here, and then we'll try to recreate those use cases. Again, the seems like the login journey is pretty straightforward. Let me just quickly log in. So just like all the models here, once you log in, you'll have these notifications here. So it seems, let's just quickly go through this. Reka AI is the smallest model, ideal for use cases where speed is paramount. That's almost like GPT 3.5. A turbo class high capable model optimized for common everyday questions, which is almost like GPT. And then Reka Core, our largest and best model for complex scenarios, but it's not out yet. Here are some of the things to note before you get started. Responses can be okay, you optimize for cost and scalability. Context length is capped at 4, while in a RAG based API, you have around 24k worth of tokens, if I remember correct. Then there are the cookie notes, right? So they also have a Discord community, which I'll definitely join. Now, once you accept, very straightforward. You have two options similar to what you would see on ChatGPT. So let's just say Flash, because that seems like the 3.5 and I just want to use the best version I can. So we'll take each of the samples from here. We'll plug it on Reka Playground. We'll do Gemini and we'll do GPT-4. So I'm going to be using GPT-4 on Perplexity because I've subscribed from the pro version of GPT, because I can use all the models that I want here. So GPT-4, Gemini Pro, and then all the open source models plus all the new models that will be added. I can also use Claude 2.1 here. So I didn't really feel the need to have multiple subscription going. So I'm just going to be using GPT-4 here, and I'll show you that the response is generated by GPT-4 API. Let's start by this. Right, so plan a short 3-day trip to Bali, make it concise and put the visit to not Mariana Bay Sands because that's not in Bali. I will put Nusa Penida, one of my favorite places when I visited Bali. Let's go and put the prompt here, and we're using the Flash model, and you can see it's generating the output. In the meantime, let me just plug this in Gemini Advanced and GPT-4. So the responses are now generated. You can see this is the day 1 plan, this is the day 2 plan, and then this is the day 3 plan. What I like about this response is just like how they mentioned here, it's a concise plan and very clear with bullet points, right? So you can see this is very straightforward, arrive on the airport, and then what to do in Nusa Penida. Now, if you look at the response generated by Gemini, so there's the day 1 plan, there's the morning, afternoon, and evening. Apparently, it has also generated some images, which is very cool. And again, these are images from websites, so kind of clickbaity that way. Then you have plans for day 2 and then plans for day 3. I mean, it's similar to what we see. I mean, both the plans are fine. Now let's see what GPT-4 has done. It does not seem like this was generated by GPT-4. So let me just rewrite this for GPT-4. Now, if you look at the response that we see being generated here, it looks very similar to what we see here, right? So there's morning, afternoon, and evening. Similar to the format that we also see on Gemini. Now, I don't know why that is the case. Maybe Gemini is using GPT-4 in the backend. I'm just kidding. But again, the response that was generated is similar for both of these. And then this one seems very crisp, right? This seems like a simpler plan, but this is not too bad either, right? So for the first response, I'd say all of them did like fine job. None of them did like exceptional job. Everyone did like, okay job. The second thing that we will be checking is this. So we'll upload the image on each of the platforms here. Then let me just choose the photo that I want to upload. I apologize for the background noise today. It's just that I'm not in the studio, and when I'm not in the studio, it kind of gets very weird. So I've been sick for the past few days, and I'm working from home. So I hope it's not too bad. Anyway, so I'm just going to be selecting the image, and then I'm going to say exactly what the user is saying here, right? So we punch this in and we do the exact same thing on the Gemini Ultra and GPT-4 to see what we get. So explain the math here. I don't know if I can upload images. Yeah, it seems like I can upload images on Perplexity as well. So cool. By the way, this is where you can see which model was used, right? So you can see GPT-4 was used. We can also use Claude here, but for the sake of this testing, let's just restrict it to these three models. So you can see it's generated the Pythagoras theorem here, which based on at least what I know seems correct. E square is equal to b square minus c square. So makes sense, right? And if you look at Gemini's response, I think it's done similar and decent generation, but it's not as detailed as this. Right, so it's kind of also giving us the roots, which you don't see here. It's given like very basic simple formula, and again this is coming from some sort of sources. So you can see it's also given us the link to these sources. You look at GPT's response, then it's similar again, but it's not gone as depth as we see. Based on at least my initial analysis, what I can see is that the generations here are way precise, cleaner and short, but I'm gonna make it weird. Let's find some other equation and let's see if, what happens a lot of time is that you train model enough to answer certain questions well, and then if you throw something really weird at the model, it breaks. So let's try and break this model. So I have a geometry question here. It says find the number of angles in the following image, right? So this should be a good problem for the model to solve. Let's punch this in Gemini as well. By the way, I noticed that Reka got the answer wrong. So I'm just kind of spending time to paste my question here now. All right. So you can see it says 3. Now I'm not a math guru, but think it's wrong because the 1, 2, 3, and then there is 90 here, and then there is this 50 degrees, there is 60 degrees, so there's definitely more than 3. Now surprisingly GPT-4, it's GPT-4, right? Yeah, GPT-4 seems to have given a relatively decent answer rather than just throwing, what it knows. You can see it's kind of giving us how it should be calculated. And then these are the different angles. However, there are more angles present than just the label one. And then there's the 90 degree and, but less than 180 degree. It's not giving us direct answer. Assuming the lines are straight and extended in both directions, we would have to assume the same number of angles, twice the number we've counted as each intersection. So it's kind of giving me answer, but not giving me the number. What's the final number of angles, right? So let's see if it can give us the final answer. Now at least I know for a fact that it's kind of giving me the right answer, right? So it seems, but again it's saying 4 unique angles present, but only 3 fully visible ones can be measured directly from it. So again, not correct. And this one, I don't know why they call it Gemini Advanced. It's not answering. The answer is worse than that of these ones, and I think this one is correct. Again, I'm not 100% certain, but I'm mostly sure that this one seems correct. So obviously the math problems that you see here are mostly inspired by a lot of training data, and it knows that if it sees something like this, it has to give this answer. But if it sees something new like this, then it does not know what to do, right? So again, this one is simple. So I'm not going to spend time here, but I'm going to be taking this one and I'm going to see what we get. Let me see if I can find one of my own videos. Now note that the GPT-4 and Gemini won't be able to do this for us. We won't be able to run this example there. So it's a 24-second video, not too long. I'm assuming it's going to use some sort of transcription, but let's see. Again, I'm just confirming I can't do it here. Yeah, can't do it. I can upload images, text or PDFs even for GPT, but not videos. So video wise, this is relatively new. And this video is about comprehensive guide on how to set up control net for stable diffusion. The tutorial covers these topics. So very straightforward because it has transcription. Now I'm gonna download a B-roll video with no audio and see if it's able to predict like they've showed here, right? So it's kind of predicting what happens next. I mean, it's not definite prediction, but it kind of knows even without audio what's going on in the video. So that's what I'm interested in. So I downloaded this free B-roll, and thanks to this guy for giving me the video. Video is about a lady apparently trying to look at the mirror, and I have no idea what's going on. So I'm going to tell the model to figure out what's going on and see if it knows what the lady is doing, right? So exact same question, right? But this time with a different person in the picture, right? So
Agora você pode vir e apoiar a mãozinha ali de novo no cabo.
this is the video, by the way. Seems like some sort of content creator trying to create content. Apparently, it's also kind of telling us what she's doing, so that's very interesting. And now what would... Yep, let me change this to she and see what it does now. Alright, so it is generating response. She could continue looking out of the car window and daydream or observe the scenery outside. She might turn to look at the camera again if she hears something calling her and something captures her attention. Get out of the car if her destination is nearby. So not bad for a model that can do basic predictions. I'm thinking what the use case of this is. This could be maybe some sort of, security based monitoring, where if there is some sort of alert that can go through when something bad may be about to happen based on actions and stuff like that. So maybe, I'm not saying this could be the use case, but anyways, let's try the final thing now. Let's see if we can find an audio file and try to feed that in the model. Or you know what, let's just take the audio that they have on the website and see if it can work on the exact same files that they have uploaded themselves on the platform, right? So what's really strange is that when I'm kind of trying to select the audio files, I'm not getting an option to select the audio. Rather, I get an option to select the video, which I'm not looking to process right now. So I only see MP4 files. Okay, let me extend my search, and yeah, it's saying audio not supported. So that's really weird, right? Because it says it's doing audio comprehension here. I'm assuming that, so the only assumption I have right now is that maybe these are MP files, so let me just try that. I'm going to upload the same video that I uploaded previously of the lady, and I'm going to ask what it hears in the background. What sounds do you hear in the background? Now apparently there are birds and stuff like that in the background, so I'm assuming that should be able to call that out if it can really hear what's going on. Yep, so apparently it does not work for audios. Finally, let's also try the coding problem that we have. Let's take the coding problem from here. Calculate the area of a circle with a radius of 12, and then let's throw the problem in here, here, and then here. I think so far the most disappointing one has been the Gemini version, and that too the advanced version. So really disappointing. Again, it's not using Python for this, while I really wanted to use Python. Anyway, there is one more example here, and then we will upload that rather. So each of these have answers. 452 is what both of these have, and then 144 pi, which should be correct because 3.14 144 should be 452. But let's just, for the sake of me being mad at math, see if it can give us like the exact answer. This has been the most annoying model so far, to be honest, and that's the answer that we were looking for. Anyways, let's just see if I have a CSV in... Oh yeah, by the way, apparently it won't do anything apart from photos and videos. I don't know why. If this is the limitation with respect to the edge model, or is this like a general limitation? Yeah, this seems like a general limitation. I can't upload CSVs, but I can upload videos and photos. Very weird. I mean, CSV is like a very straightforward use case that both of these also support. So I was kind of expecting that this would support it, but never mind. And that pretty much covers all the use cases now, I guess. Anyway, so I think overall still, it's not too bad. It is okay because, things like videos, especially I like this one and this one. So I can envision this using for script writing, blog writing from videos and so on and so forth. I don't know the exact use cases of prediction, but this definitely, especially even for audio, right, there is good use case in the future. And I'm excited to try it out and continue to play around with the platform itself. It's not too bad. I'd say this is one of the underrated platforms that I've seen, and definitely more people should try and use. Especially a lot of us don't even know some of the use cases that it's solving, so I definitely encourage people to use the platform itself. So I hope this video was helpful. If there are any questions, feel free to let me know, or just drop it in the Q&A section, and I'll see you guys in the next one.